Hey, Pete the Peptide Guy here in the podcast lane. I am with Matt Tomas. How you doing, Matt?
I'm amazing. How about
I'm
yourself?
doing fantastic. Thank you
Yeah.
for stopping by the way.
Yeah. Thanks for having
And
me.
I
I'm
think
stoked to be
it was
here.
a last minute throw-in. What
It
happened?
was. Yeah. It just so happened my wife was going to be here. She just started her own business. She got the flu that's going around right now. And so, hey,
Hey,
here we are.
plug and play. Next man up. I like it. All
Yeah.
right, cool. So you had interesting. We were just talking off camera a little bit. I
Yeah.
want to revisit that. So you were in the restaurant business, correct?
Yeah.
All right. How
Yeah.
did that start?
I mean, if we go all the way back to the very beginning, I was a busboy at Outback Steakhouse when I was in high school. One of my good friends worked there before me, and I got done playing football, and my parents said, "Hey, it's time to get a job." And I got referred by him, walked in there, got hired that day, and was working a shift the next day. So I just kind of fell into it by accident per se, but fell in love with it pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
What about it where's that love come from, that passion about it?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, I've always been a social guy and just like being around people. And so I think that restaurant environment just kind of fits for that type of personality where every day is new, every day is something different. There's never a shift that's going to be the same one to another. And, you get to hang out with people while you're there. It's a fun environment. You're shooting the shit with your friends and having a good time where, you're making good money at the same time as well. So
Yeah.
I think it just kind of worked out for my personality.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
bartend, on the side as well and going back to
Yeah.
college and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Did you have that experience as well?
Yeah, my whole career, like I said, busing, then serving, then bartending, and then, that kind of led into a career of managing restaurants all the way up to becoming, a multi-unit leader running 4 restaurants in the Bay Area and San Francisco. And so it just kind of transitioned into a fun career, that's for sure. It wasn't what I necessarily envisioned early on, but it worked out great.
Right, yeah, and it never really is, right? Exactly, until you're in it.
No.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you just fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to pivot to what you do now?
Yeah. So recruiting is what I do now, however you want to verbalize it,
Yeah.
headhunting. I do it predominantly for restaurants and, for hospitality, a little bit of retail, other things here and there, but mostly restaurants. Um, it was kind of by accident, same where I, found myself in the market for a new job. And so the first thing I did, like anybody else, you reach out to your friends, your network, your family. And my best friend, who I worked with for 10, 15 years, was the VP of operations for a restaurant group based in Chicago. And so I reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, what do you got? You got any jobs? You got any friends that are looking, that sort of thing." And so shout out to Khaled, my best friend. He's actually the VP of ops now for Fat Rosie's. They're based out in Houston. They got restaurants all over the place. But
Oh,
anyway,
nice.
he connected me with the owner of Source One Hospitality, who I work for now, a recruiting firm. They're based in Chicago. And, recruiting wasn't necessarily something that I had my
Mhm.
eyes on because in the hospitality business, there's a lot of these big box recruiters where you know, they don't necessarily have the best reputation because it's very cutthroat, very backstabby, where they're 1099 contractors. They don't get a salary. They're not, really, they're just going to throw you a bunch of resumes as opposed to being someone that's going to work referral-based business where I'm going to send you people that I've interviewed, people that I know personally and that sort of thing. And so, I spent a couple weeks, Ryan, who's my founder of my company, kind of talking with him, pseudo interviewing, just really getting to know each other a little bit. And, we just had the very similar ideas and visions of what recruiting is and what it should be. And he had a great team already established that I just kind of like walked into and got lucky to work with such a great company and great people. So yeah, it's been amazing doing that for the last 2 years. I work predominantly here in the Southwest, but we have contracts across the country. We work with 30 or 40 different groups across the country.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
like you were right place, right time, and just
Yes.
kept going up, right, and moving up and meeting people and doing
Yeah,
that.
it's been great. I love it. It's the quality of life is much better. I'm not working until 3 o'clock in the morning anymore. At least not usually, unless I'm talking to somebody on the East Coast, but the quality of life, I get to work, from home or pretty much from anywhere where it's necessary.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, again, there's a ton of these businesses, like you said, and you mentioned the referral business, right?
Yeah.
What else makes you different than some other headhunting business out there for the space?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, the biggest difference for us is our whole company, everyone that works for us gets a salary, which is in the recruiting industry rare. Because, when you're working off of only commissions, I'm sure you've heard the word commission breath before.
Yes.
Uh, when that's all you're getting, you tend to throw things at people that maybe aren't the best fit for that company. And so I think first and foremost, that's what makes us so different is that we get a salary that is a comfortable way to live where we're not forced as you as a restaurant owner, I'm throwing you a bunch of people that I know you're not going to want to hire just because I need to look busy. I need to try to get as many people in front of you as possible.
Right.
All of us are ex-operators, myself, I ran restaurants for 20 years. One of my other colleagues who's another director, he was a VP of ops, a president of a company, ran, multi-billion dollar restaurant industry. And so all of us come from that type of a background. And so we all have tons of connections. We've worked in multiple states, multiple restaurant groups. And so um, I think just from that perspective, when a client comes to us and they're looking for someone to help them recruit, that's the biggest thing is they're getting our book of business of people that we've worked with or spoken to in the past for the last 20 years that we've already been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, having that background and having that team behind you
Yeah.
that's experienced is huge, and the salary component is very interesting in that sense too, because most of it is commission based, right? And they're just tossing things at you, to pad the numbers.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we still get commission too, it's not like we're not getting any of that. So there is, a structure there where we can make a lot more money if we do well, but it's not, especially early on, if you're struggling at recruiting or any sales business,
Right.
it's going to motivate you to maybe do things that are not in the best interest of your client. And so I think that for us is one of the biggest separators.
So that being said, since we're talking about separating you from others, right, and we want people to get to know you, and working like what would be like working with Matt.
Yeah.
What's one of the number one things you would say to a business owner that's looking to do it and is like, oh, I'll just do it myself?
Right.
Why would that not be a good option other than bringing you on board?
Yeah, we hear that all the time.
Yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
because people think it's easy what we do. And the best analogy I can give you for that is, I'm sure you've heard this before, is, let's say you and your, family, you've got a plugged drain at your house, or you've got a broken pipe and there's water leaking all over the place, right? And you call a plumber and he comes in and he fixes it in 30 minutes, but he still charges you $2,000 and it only took him 30 minutes, right?
Right.
And what does he say? Well, you're not paying me for the 30 minutes. You're paying me for the 30 years it took me to learn how to do that in 30 minutes. And recruiting for me is identical to that. You're not paying us for spending 2 weeks searching for someone that you could hire for this role. You're paying me for the last 30 years of me building my network of the managers I've hired, that I've promoted, that I've worked with, that I've built that trust and that, camaraderie with, where when I reach out to them and I say, hey, I've got a role that's perfect for you, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to listen. And if you're running a restaurant, you don't have that, but B, you don't really have the time to do that either. As a restaurant owner, you're working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. And, that shouldn't be your focal point. You're there to run a successful restaurant and let us do what we're great at to provide you great talent.
Yeah, and I guess too, what helps is you come from running the restaurants, right? So you can really talk to the
Right.
owner and going, hey, listen, I've been where you're at. I wish I had this,
Yeah.
which would have made my life a lot easier,
Totally.
right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
And we interview people extensively before we submit, for, if someone comes to me and they give me a role where maybe I don't have someone who is in my network, right? Where I know, hey, this is the right person for that role. I'm going to go out and I'm going to interview 10, 15, 20 people and find the right one. And I'm going to put them through an extensive interview process for you so that when I do present someone to you and I bring them and I say, hey, this is the right person, that they've already been vetted. They've already been, put through the ringer. So all you're looking for is just to make sure that they're the person you want to hire, the culture fit, and someone that you think is going to fit in with your community.
yeah,
Yeah.
Matt, I mean, you bring so many great things to the table and I'm sure a lot of restaurant business owners right now are looking and they're like, yo, how do we get in touch with you? So you can look right in that camera there and tell people how to reach you.
We are Source One Hospitality. Yeah, we like I said, our corporate office is in Chicago. You can find us there, but we're all over the country. We've got boots on the ground here in Scottsdale. That's me. I've got people in Kansas City. We've got Texas. We've got Nashville. All over the place.
Is there a website?
There is just source1hospitality.com.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, Matt, thank you for
Yeah,
coming in and
absolutely.
explaining that.
Thanks for having me.
No,
Appreciate it.
having a
Yeah.
professional is always good.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.